One of the most common questions people have asked me or they have sent through email or DM to me is, okay, I have read the USI's website. I don't know where to start from. How do I get started? Some people are also going to ask for templates. They believe templates could solve their problem once and automatically. Okay, templates has its place, and that is not what we want to discuss here. I really want to discuss is how do you actually get started? Let's assume you've understood the whole process. Let's assume you've also gathered some evidences or you are in the process of gathering those evidences. You now actually want to get started in the writing process on your own. That is what I want to show you now. So I'm going to be sharing my screen and we are going to be seeing how to do it on, I'm going to be using Word, but the same process is going to work whether you are using MS Word, you are using Google Doc, or you are using LaTeX or any other thing that you are using. But I'm going to be using Word and I'm going to be showing you the process. So usually I like to have like a template. Like I want to have like a document I used to brainstorm. So you can use MS Word for it. And what do we want to put in our brainstorming documents? What I want to put there is I'm going to come to the USCIS website, and or we can just do Google and just do USCIS EB1A, something like that. And we come here, we scroll down. I'm just going to copy everything that we have here. Control C, and I'm going to come back to Word and I'm going to paste. And after doing that, now we have all these things. So if I were you, what I'm going to do is, first of all, before even getting to this stage, I want to assume that you have a CV, a comprehensive CV. What is going to be in your comprehensive CV? Your comprehensive CV is going to include, it's not a resume. A resume is a concise version of your work or about your profile that is tailored to a particular application. A CV may not be necessarily tailored, but it contains everything about you. Everything, whether it relates to the job you're applying for or not. Everything about you. So you have your resume already. Everything about you. You made a presentation somewhere, some award, the papers you've published, anything. But we are not here to discuss what a CV is or how to write one. So after you've done that, what you want to do here is you want to map your profile to the USCIS criteria. So we are going to assume, okay, maybe I have an NSF award. And the NSF award I got, I know it qualifies. So I'm going to say NSF award. Something like this. NSF award. Maybe that's the only award I have. So I'm just going to stop there. So membership, maybe I am IEEE fellow. Or maybe I'm a senior member. Because I do not have published material about myself, I'm going to delete this. So, but I can just give it a red because I don't have that. Okay, this guy, I've judged the work of others. Maybe you've judged the work of others through review papers. So you should list those paper. Okay, IEEE paper, IEEE ICRA conference paper, something like this. You list those papers or the conferences, IEEE IROS journal, and so on and so forth. You list those things that you've done. You continue to list them, the paper title or something like that. Any details about it. Maybe you are a review panel for a particular maybe master's thesis. For master's thesis, something like this. You reviewed other people's work, reviewed other people's work in hackathons, and yes, let's just stop like here. Then original contribution, maybe some of your papers too, you have some original contributions, you want to put some of those things. Maybe you have a patent from your research work, maybe you started something innovative, maybe you solve a particular problem, mm, started an a climate and health initiative endeavor people are benefiting from. These are just examples so that we can understand. Then over here, you can basically go to your Google Scholar or wherever you want to put title of papers. Yes. So you put all these things there, titles of all your research paper, title of research paper one. Let's do something like this. And where it was published with date. So you include all of them. So if you have 10 papers or 5 papers, just put everything there. So your work was not displayed, you can give it red or you delete it. Maybe you are a product manager in a fintech. Maybe that's what you do currently. So you don't have a high salary. If you have a high salary, you put something there. So now at the end of the day, now it's becoming obvious that you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 criteria that you meet. Or maybe it's 4 criteria that you meet. So you basically use this to brainstorm. You need to map your criteria, your profile to everything. Then you can have something we call others. Others are going to be um there are going to be things that do not fit into all these criteria, but again, they make you an expert on top of your field. So you can put presentations you've done, a lot of other things that may qualify here. Maybe you presentations you've done, maybe your other contributions, some other memberships, some other awards, and so on and so forth. So you put this. So this is basically a document you use to brainstorm. So after you've done this, now it is clear that you are targeting maybe 5 criteria or 6 criteria. So those are the ones we want to make use of. Eventually, anything that doesn't relate, you are going to delete now. So I can remove this guy. I remove this two because I don't meet those criteria. So again, if you are proceeding for the EB1A, it's assumed that you meet at least 3 out of 10. Usually the more the better. So this hypothetical situation we are doing now is for somebody that meets about 6. It's just an example. Okay, so now that we've done this, the next thing I want to do now is I'm going to create another Word document. Inside this Word document, I want to now develop like a structure of how I want to start writing. So what I want to do now is I want to develop a structure of how I want to start writing. But before I do this, I assume that you have it somewhere on your laptop or on your computers that has a folder of everything about your author's profile, the evidences of everything about you that is in your CV. So what I mean is I'm going to you can create a folder on your laptop and call it EB1A, anything you call it, and inside we can call it evidences. And inside the evidences, you begin to put everything about you. You can put education. Usually I like to put it in a folder. It's not necessary. You can put scholarly articles or papers. You can do presentations. What other thing that we do have? Awards. You can do judge work of others. Critical role. original contribution, um, all those criteria basically. High salary, media reports about you. So let's stop here. So you begin to save all those screenshots, PDF, and when you save it, I always like to name them properly, give them proper names so that when you want to refer to them, you know where it is. So you continue to add all your evidences here. So I assume you are going to do this. Then we come back to our Word document here. This is where I now want to start writing the whole process. Again, remember that in this first Word document, I have everything here. So what I just want to do is usually I like to structure everything before I start writing. I'm not teaching how to use Word here, but again, these are just standard practices that make life easy for you. So I'm going to just quickly do all this. Okay, so and what I'm going to do is I'm just going to copy and paste each one of them. So this is going to be so good. And these are the criteria that concern you. Uh, okay, what I'm just going to do is, yeah, you can also copy it directly from USCIS website, the ones that you want to use, but I'm just copying it from here. Evidence of the original, evidence of original. So just going to do something like this. You understand what I'm trying to do now? So we continue this whole process and evidence of scholarly articles. You understand? And evidence of critical role. So this is one. And remember, we said, like I've explained before, there are three things you need to put in here. There are three major important things, and it is also included in this EB1 in this USCIS website. And when you come to the policy manual here, you are going to find it there. So you first of all need to establish criteria for extraordinary ability. So that is what we are doing now. Criteria for extraordinary ability. So and so under each of these criteria, that's what we have. I can give this one, I can make it center. I think it just looks good like this again. So good. So and the next chapter we want to talk about is we can call it final merit determination. And the next one we want to talk about is the person seeks to continue work in the area. So I can call it you want to write a short. So you can always reward everything that we have here, but again, we just have to start from somewhere. So again, we are developing structure. Ideally, each of these guys are going to go into separate pages. You understand? So they are going to be not, I mean, it is a prose. You are writing something, so you can just do something like this. So we've almost done all this now. So this is what we have currently. So what you want to do next is, so under evidence of your receipt of national of what's it called, of awards. So what you want to do there is you want to discuss about the award that you have. So that's going to be another subheading. I can quickly modify this guy and I can give it a size of 14 to make it bold. Automatically updates. You can change all these things if you want. So these are just my personal preference, and you can say NSF award that you have. So if you have other awards, let's assume you have a PhD fellowship award or something, any kind of award that you have, or PhD best best paper award in ICRA 2025 conference, something like this. So I think good. So which means that under this NSF award now, you want to discuss everything that you've done. So we are going to come to membership now. If you have the membership criteria, so under this membership, again, we are developing structure here, and maybe you have IEEE senior member. Maybe you, but this is not going to be 1.3. This is going to be 1.4. It's going to be 1.2.1. So maybe you have some other membership. Maybe you have ASME, something like this, fellow member. So then again, we just continue the process. Evidence that you have been asked to judge the work of others. So you want to give us details about reviewed ICRA conference papers, or reviewer at ICRA conference papers conference. Then you want to talk about review work of others at IEEE, or whatever name of association. Let's call it ASSC hackathon. So that's where you review the work of others. Then authorship. There are different strategies to talk about authorship. Some people are actually basically going to list all their papers. Maybe paper A, they talk about it. Then they come to this place, paper B, they talk about it. Paper C, they talk about it. You understand? Paper D, they talk about that paper. So this paper A are basically paper A title or the work. So you understand? So we come to leading critical role. We call it where did you lead critical role? Maybe you led critical role at you're a product manager at YC backed company, something like this. Then maybe you are technical committee chair, technical committee chair at IEEE, something like this. Technical committee on XSS chair at IEEE. So these are some of the things. Then we come over here. With final merit determination, you are going to write some things there. Then the person seeks to end and to continue the work. So in this chapter, what I usually like to put there is like a professional plan. So you do something like a professional plan that is basically going to highlight those things you want to do when you eventually enter the United States. So put a professional plan here, put a detailed professional plan here. So then you want to highlight the benefits on you want to the person's entry into the United States will benefit the United States. So you want to highlight this. So this can be up to 2, 3, 4 paragraphs, 1 to 2 pages. Then you are done. So once you have done all these things, this is the meat of your petition. So again, usually people start from they write a short cover letter, and I'm going to show you a template now. We come over here. So when you Google this guy on LinkedIn, I mean on internet, what's his name? GitHub Rivan, GitHub EB1A. So I believe it's this guy. So when you come over here and this and you download it, so this is a template online. And when you come over here, you can basically see the petition. So there's a short introduction, then summary. So I also like to do to prove of. So we can modify to prove of, it said prove of, so it basically puts your name. So what I mean is instead of criteria for, you can say prove of extraordinary ability of your name of Afis Jima. You understand? Or prove of I mean anything you want, prove of extraordinary ability of Afis Jima. You can basically use anything you want. Then so you put a short cover letter here. You can that and you just explain all those things. So let's come back here again, and you can see how it was written also and how everything comes together. So when you've done this short cover letter, you have this short cover letter, you can put a table of contents if you like. So if it's not important, or but if you really want to put it, you can put it. And where do you get this table of contents? Somewhere I think is under I'm finding it. I usually use it somewhere, but references here, table of contents, and you can use any style you want. It's basically going to keep updating as you write. So you then start all your writing. Short cover letter. This goes into, it begins on a separate page, and you may not, if you want, you can. I'm just putting it. It doesn't need to have this. So proof of, so there are when people write, there are two strategies I've seen. You can write in first person, which means that you are writing that, okay, you have done this, you have done this. Or you can write using third person, which means like this person's work, where he basically uses his name, and you can see he kept on mentioning his name, like of doctor, his name, then doctor, his name. So it's as if somebody else is talking about you and mentioning your name. So you can write using that strategy, or you can say that I performed this comprehensive, you did this. So you basically, irrespective of the one you choose, in order not to confuse the adjudicating officer, I always like to stick to a particular one. So do you want to use I, or you want to say that, okay, Mrs., Miss, or whatever, doctor, professor, engineer, whatever you want to use, or you just put your name. Afis Jima has done this, has done this, has done this. Okay, so once you have all those ones, this is a structure. When you write, you don't need to say that, okay, you want to write a particular section or subsection and finish it. The writing is a process that is going to continue all along. So you want to talk about NSF award. Again, if you've forgotten, you have to refer back to my previous video that I've done. But under this NSF award, what you want to be discussing here now is you want to tell us what NSF award is. Remember, the USCIS officer is going to pretend as if they don't know what NSF is. So it is your job to explain what NSF award is. When did you win it? Or when did you get the award? What work did you do? What is the evidence that you got the award? Was it email? Was it at a conference? And all those kind of things. What is the worth of the award? Do you and those other things? What is the significance of winning that particular award? Who are the other peoples in your field? Who are the other people in your field who are acclaimed experts that have also gotten this award in the past? Those are all the details you want to be putting on the NSF award. You understand what I'm trying to say? Then you now remember at the end of the day, you need to nail the bar. You want to now tell us that, okay, how does NSF award make you an expert in your field? You understand what I'm trying to say? Then, best paper award, you do the same thing again. You put all these evidences. You remember all these evidences, you have stored them somewhere. So if one of your referees, the people that have your references, your expert letters, if one of them talked about the NSF award and the significance, you want to copy that part out and put it in this main petition. So you just say, according to Professor XSS in his expert opinion letter. You understand? And you just paste everything that whatever they said, you put it there. You understand? So you do the same thing. So, but like I was explaining, when you do this first step, you don't need to say that, okay, you want to finish write everything about NSF award. You can just write a structure like, okay, this is what I want to write. So you are working today, the one that you have an idea of how you want to write it, how you want to argue it is NSF, you write it. And you got stuck somewhere. Or maybe you are still expecting the reference letter from Professor XSX. You leave it that part. Start writing best paper award. You understand what I'm trying to say? Then maybe you have some writer's block for best paper award. Then you come to IEEE senior member. You start writing about it. What is the membership? How did you get it? What is the selection criteria? All those things that we've discussed, you put it there. Then you come to you have chance to judge the work of others. I think you have chance to judge the work of others. There's an error somewhere here. So reviewer, so this should actually come here. This should be under displays. So review art. So so you start doing this. So this guy, we can put patent or something there. So these are just an example. So you just start putting all those things there and you start developing the points. Again, you want to make sure that everything you put all the details that you are supposed to put in each subsection. You understand? So you put all of them there. So once you're able to do all these, then you are beginning to have a good petition. You are beginning to develop a strong case for yourself, and you just continue to write it. So the final merit determination, I think I've talked about it in my previous video, or you are going to see it somewhere where I've talked about all these things. So and about professional plan, we already know how to write it. Benefits to the United States, we know how to write it. So all those things you are going to put in your, and you start writing them one by one, paragraph by paragraph. So if you have 30 minutes to do today, you write it. You have another 30 minutes, you put it there. So it's not something you are going to write that everything is just going to come together at once. You understand what I'm trying to say? So another comment I want to make is that a lot of cases I've seen people, when I review other people's work, it's very obvious they've used ChatGPT. They do not understand the process of the writing, and or maybe not actually the process of the writing. They do not understand fully what the evidences and all those things they need to put and or how they should argue their case. So if you just use ChatGPT without understanding, ChatGPT or whatever LLM is going to do a very poor job for you. So you actually need to understand it. Then when you understand it very well, paragraph by paragraph, you can prompt the AI to help you. But if you just prompt the AI to give you, you can tell AI that, okay, what is the significance of NSF award? It gives you one or two paragraphs. You find something to use there. Or you can tell it, okay, how does winning NSF award make me top of my feed? It gives you like a paragraph. Look at what you want to take from that paragraph. It's not everything that is going to be useful. It may be too verbose at times. then you take whatever you need. But you understand what I'm trying to say. So you give it simple by simple, then okay, how does it make you qualify for EB1A criteria? You talk about it. So once it is doing all those things for you, you can now begin to include your evidences within it. You understand what I'm trying to say? So for each claim you make, you need to put a reference in terms of, okay, it makes a claim that you got the NSF award Inc. It has to refer back to a document. So towards the end, what you can put at the end of this document is your exhibit list. So this exhibit list, you can give it this type of header, and you come over here. You can, I think I have a template for it already or something. So basically, you are going to say that, okay, exhibit 1, exhibit 2, exhibit 3, something like this, exhibit 4, and so on and so forth. And so on and so forth. So let's assume exhibit 1 is the professor XXS expert letter. So it means that wherever you mention Professor XXX, which may be over here, you can just put exhibit 1. So you want to make sure it matches. So usually this step, I always advise you do. I just color. I can usually, because these numbers are going to change. You understand? Plus, I want to make sure everything aligns together. What I mean is that maybe this is Professor SSS, then this is going to be another Professor XX X11. You understand? Then another Professor YYY. You understand? So it's going to be developing as you are writing your petition. It's only when you are done. So the point is, these numbers are going to change. So what I usually do is I will just come here and I will just call this exhibit X. You understand? And I will color code it so that when I'm done with my writing, I just look at all my yellow colors and I update it with whatever numbers here. Because as only I've put exhibit 1 here, then towards I rearrange everything, is now exhibit 5. You understand? Or exhibit 4, it has changed. It means I need to go back again to change it. If you are using LaTeX, for example, it solves the problem for you. But if you are using Word, I'm not very sure of how to do that. There may be a way to do that, but we are not going into how to use Word, Microsoft Word here. So again, you just update it and you just continue to include it. So this is just an example. So you discuss it, you put it here. So like I'm saying, so this can be NSF award notification. Then this guy can be NSF award presentation. Then exhibit 6 can be NSF award certificate, something like this. All these things are important, so you put all of them there. Exhibit 7 can be NSF selection criteria, something like this. So the point I'm trying to make is, let's assume later you now have another reference letter. Now it means that you want to put all your reference together at the points. So this is Professor Z, maybe Professor ZZZ expert opinion letter. So you remember, so this 4 now, then 5, it's all these guys are going to change. This is now going to be 5, this is going to be 6, this is going to be 7, and this is going to be 8. You understand what I'm trying to say? So these numbers are going to be changing. So because they are going to be changing, you want to make sure that towards the end, you just keep updating this. But once you have all your references, I mean all your exhibits, you update it. One thing I did not add is that your expert opinion letters should have resume. You should include their I mean their CV. So and CV. So always include their CV. Many professors or professionals, you can get their CV you can get their CV on their website. A lot of people have their CV on their website. A lot of people have it on their LinkedIn, or you can basically ask them. Usually, if they're able to write a expert opinion letter for you, then they should be able to provide a resume or CV for you. So you begin to do all these things, and I've talked about the ChatGPT of everything. So and you begin step by step, step by step, step by step, step by step, and you are going to see how the documents are going to be coming together, and how you are going to. So you begin to just write it, take a rest, write it, take a rest, write it, take a rest, write it, and that's just a process of how I do it. There may be something that I mean, this is not like a standard somewhere that what USIS recommends, or maybe a template somewhere. But again, these are things that you just want to do, and you want to make sure you do it very well. This guy is going to update. It's going to update, so you don't disturb yourself. So basically, and that's what you have. So the idea of starting like this is that it's like when you fly, when you're on the airplane, and they are 10,000 feet above the ground or 15,000 feet above the ground. Everything you see on the ground is like one. So that's like, you just see everything. That's a single place. You see everything on the ground like one. You will not be able to distinguish everything. Then the moment you move to like 5,000 feet or 1,000 feet above the ground, then maybe you can see, okay, this is water, this is road. But again, you don't see the moving cars. You understand? You still see the details. You see everything at a level more. You understand? And that is what we are trying to do. Then you move again a little bit. You see what? You're able to see the cars that are moving. But you don't know whether something like an SUV or a long maybe it's a truck or a long vehicle. Just you don't have all the details, but you just notice a vehicle that is moving. So that's the idea. At the beginning, you want to start with something like this. You understand? It doesn't give you all the details, but again, you have this, and you also want to have all your evidences. Then next one is you want to turn them into an actual document, and you want to start filling all the details gradually by gradually. So it's just like somebody on the airplane or somebody using a telescope, and that telescope can see a very far distance, and you can adjust the lens. Once you adjust the lens, you see more details again. You adjust the lens, you see more details again. You adjust the lens, you see more details again. So all details depends on the power of the lens of the telescope, or whether it's a microscope. So these are just examples. So I believe this video is okay, and it should be able to help you in start writing your petition, and you come up with something that you can use. Structure or template is that I usually like, not everybody needs it, but usually it's always very good to have what we call introduction and a claim. So people call it different names, but again, it's not going to have any subsection or subheading. So it's just going to be like 1 to 2 pages of what is your acclaim. That is what you are going to be compared against. So if you call yourself a robotics engineer, you are going to be compared against other robotics engineers. You call yourself a product manager, you are going to be compared against other product managers in terms of your extraordinary ability. So you want to use it to set the tone. It's like an elevator speech. You understand? So that is the introduction and acclaim. So you want everything about you that you've done to connect to that particular introduction and acclaim. So it is very important. I always like to include it. Not everybody needs it, but majority of people usually need it. And it is always a very good section to include. Introduction and acclaim. Use it to introduce to you. Tell them about how you are someone of extraordinary ability, all those things you have done, how your accomplishments, how they make you top of your feed. You just want to do it like within 1 to 2 pages. Usually, I don't expect it to be more than 2 pages. So that is what your introduction and acclaim is. It is very important so that it gives you just use it to set the tone. That's just the final thing. So the final merit determination, we already know what it is already. You can watch the video, and yeah, basically again, like I want to explain for the final merit determination is that I've read a couple of or reviewed a couple of petition letters, and and a lot of RFEs too that I've seen. So people make a lot of effort sometimes in actually proving that they satisfy criteria. Some people do an excellent job, but they don't explain how that criteria make them have extraordinary ability. That is important. And if you don't do that, you get an RFM because it is an important section for your final merit determination. So usually within the petition letter itself, within each of the criteria, you want to explain how it makes you top of your field, how it makes you have extraordinary ability. Again, not every petition letter, not every structures that you have seen, you are going to see it. But I always like to have a section that is going to be final merit determination, 1 to 2 pages again, that you are going to use to explain how you are top of your field. You want to use everything you've done. You know, it's just like, okay, you said you have an NSF award. You have judged the work of others. The question is, okay, what does it teach us? What does it teaches us? What's the benefit? So we after, because you got NSF award, because you have multiple papers, you have patent, and so what? So the final merit determination answers that question of and so what in terms of its relevance to the EB1A, and you use it to establish you have a sustained acclaim. It is very important, and you include another important aspect of the final merit determination is that it also gives you an opportunity to talk about other things that are not necessarily EB1A criteria. You understand what I'm trying to say? So those other things that do not necessarily fit in presentations, maybe you've gotten some awards that are not so prestigious, you can add it, and those other things you can put it in your final merit determination. Maybe you have some membership, those memberships are not fellow, or maybe there are some senior membership that are not, you have not really done a lot for the association, and you felt okay, it's not strong enough to put it as a membership. You can put it in your final merit determination. You work some other organization, maybe the organization you work for is a prestigious organization, but it's not a critical role, or maybe you have a critical role and it's not a distinguished organization. Put all those things in your final merit determination. So these are just examples. It all depends on your profile. Your profile is going to determine how you want to structure it, what you want to put somewhere, the kind of evidences you need, and how you want to make your case an accurate. Thank you.